And DSG is one of those teams, like you said in Split 1, they didn't win, but they've got the backing where if they can't beat someone, they can just buy the best players from the team that beat them.
Played
Oh
in
man.
MIPH.
Dude, here's the thing about Thailand Ascension qualifier, right? They had 2 finals.
There are some days where they're absolutely dominant, and other days where they look like they just played Valorant for the second time in their lives. So,
You're gonna have this on record?
Right.
yeah.
I'm gonna be GT in the top 4?
Yes,
You gotta be careful.
Like figure out how to play against the international because they just don't have that exposure. So going into it, I'm kind of hoping that SkRossi is kind of bringing them those answers. He's played at VCT.
Like, I mean, yeah, every single team has, some toxic fans, a lot of toxic fans, in fact. I mean, we can see what happens to Paper X.
Present.
I see it. I see it.
Phenomenal player. If you need him to flex a little bit,
Pause.
he can.
1 second. He's gonna watch this video. Paradox, do not boost your ego because of this. Focus on your work. Yeah, continue.
I think South Asian players have the biggest stress when it comes to dealing with their fans. They can be the biggest lovers and the biggest haters at the same time.
I think that's phenomenal. And to me personally, I think this is the best representative we could have sent from India.
We've got a very interesting, I wouldn't say they're underdogs, but I would say they're in the kind of right now in the middle of the pack. DSG, who have an extreme amount of talent, have a little bit of X factor in the form of, I would say, Juicy at least, who has already won this competition and then gone back down, come back up again to try to win it again. I'm just going to give it out there. How do we feel? What do we feel about DSG?
Oh, DSG. Oh man, how do I begin with this team? So Split 1, I think there's a lot of expectation for a lot of these players, yeah? Because these players are basically unknown. MYSG, very small region, right? Only known to just us. Maybe we'd get like maybe 300 to 500 viewers for our games. So we're just very tiny and known for ourselves. And then suddenly, Toast comes in, picks up a team, and everyone's watching on his streams. And, on Toast is like, making jokes about firing them and stuff like that. I did interview the players before, and they said like, how are you guys dealing with the pressure? They're like, we are just like not looking at social media at all because it's really terrifying. It's all very, very new to them, coming into this. Split 1, they got 3rd place with the roster, and Toast was, I think he was pretty okay with that outcome coming through because it's much better than how his team performed in North America. And in Split 2, they won the entire thing, going through a major overhaul of the roster, picking up players one by one from so many different places. And I think it looks good because he's starting to understand which players are giving the most impact. And the most important one is Bryce, because I think Bryce was actually considered as one of the best fragging IGLs of MYSG. And the fact that you're able to get a fragging IGL who's able to play aggressively, able to clutch, and able to shoot as much as the next player has really given an X factor. And on top of that, I think I really like the fact that he has really identified the main players here. I mean, we have Juicy, right? Now we have Vera, who has been a duelist for so long, moving to Flex, and he is terrifying. We have Grumble, very, very young, only debuted like what, 1 or 2 years ago, I cannot remember. Wayne as well. And all of these players, I think Juicy, Grumble, Vera, and Juicy have all played duelist at one point and turned into Flex. And I think it gives a lot of flexibility for LXR to really play around the roster. And it looks really, and I mean, as much as I love DSG, I mean, it's still, for me up there, it's still going to be Full Sense as well as SPG. But I think they are able to really give a lot of teams a run for their money because we have no clue what's in store. In fact, they've even just scrimped against Sentinels recently. And that is, I don't know what they've learned, but that's probably going to give a lot of experience to them.
Yeah. What you played against Juicy last year, and just give me a little bit of an insight. How is he like to play off as an opponent?
Well, he's one of those players that it's like, I feel like he just has confidence, like he's playing Reyna on Pearl with a Brimstone back in the mud. Like,
yeah.
And they won the whole tournament by doing that. So this guy's confident. He knows how to play the game. He's got really good fundamentals. And like I said, he's won the tournament before. He's been here before. He knows what to expect, and he can bring that to the team. And DSG is one of those teams, like you said in Split 1, they didn't win, but they've got the backing where if they can't beat someone, they can just buy the best players from the team that beat them. And then just become that much better, And their roster at the moment is looking pretty strong.
Mad stacked. If you think about it. Now, I think coming back to that Juicy factor, I think in Split 1, we didn't really see the Juicy that we expected to see. I think everyone was questioning what is going on with Juicy. Why can he shoot? good? Is he the problem right now? And I think that it's been really good for the team to really go through that reshuffle, because they understand that the problem that Juicy was having in Split 1 was not having that support. By building a team around Juicy and identifying what helps him, what doesn't, what to do if, say, that he's not able to come online, you know, having sharpshooters like Grumble, Wayne, and Vera is also something to be, you know, to be watched, looked out for toward the team. So I think that this team looks really good. It's just a matter of whether or not they have the firepower. I mean, yeah, firepower is great, but you know, when you kind of compare them to Thai and Indonesian teams, do they have enough?
I mean, they're still doing that Reina thing. They played it on Icebox as well. I think against Elevate it was. And again in the final against RDA as well. Tash, you and I remember that, of course.
Oh yeah.
He was like, it's devastating the way he can just, you know, turn around and do stuff.
I mean, if I mean, I've said it last year when he was on Bleed, and I'll say it now. When Juicy is online, he is an unstoppable force. It's like running straight into a brick that's just smashing you against the wall, and that's how terrifying he is when he's playing the secondary duelist.
Yep.
That's a bit graphic. Okay. Okay. But yeah, Sleepy, you've also watched these players on a much closer level. Do you think that their aggression is something they play W list on pretty much every map, I believe?
Yeah.
Do you think that might be, you know, played out in the Ascension games, or do you think they'll be okay to continue with that?
I think it's just in the DNA, to be honest, in this region, like Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand. We're just fraggers. We're just players
W
who like to
gaming,
shoot.
baby.
Yeah, W gaming. As much as well, I guess we kind of own that now, but it's honestly a regional thing. Like W gaming is just a Southeast Asian thing, especially for Singaporeans, I feel. And we've been proven right again and again that, you know, these players, they know how to play for sure. And they like to keep it aggressive. So I think the double duelist comp is just a standard at this point. We will see a lot more of those. Maybe the only change we'll see is just the composition, right? What types of duelists for which maps. But in terms of aggression, I feel like if they try to stray away from that, that's going to become a problem for them. So
Yeah.
I'd say if it works for them, they'll just stick with it, and they should just run away.
It's
with
similar
it,
to what I was saying with JFT. It's like if something's working, don't change it. You know, it's like
exactly.
If they want to stray away from it, that's when they're gonna fail. Like
Yep.
when we bunkers in Australia at that time, the Australian region wasn't too aggressive. So when we first came over here and had to face like the Thai teams and the Indo teams and the SG teams, it was quite like a shock. But luckily we had like that 2-week boot camp beforehand, so we could adapt to it a bit and know what we're getting into. But yeah, it's definitely something that a lot of these teams need to be prepared for, and it can catch them off guard. Like even these Korean teams that come in, like maybe they've been playing a bit more like fundamentally sound, but then when you've got these two incredibly sharp players just running it down, doing random stuff, it's sometimes hard to deal with on the day, you know?
No, that's the thing though, right? When we talk about Korean teams, I feel like it just went out of date, right? The fundamental way to play the game is just a thing of the past at this point.
Yep.
And today is just about those microaggressions that are timed well.
Yeah.
And the teams that are able to fit into that model are the ones that's going to run away with the trophy.
Yep.
And long gone are the days where you have to wait like a minute and play only the last 30 to 20 seconds.
Oh my god, that's such a Bleed thing. I remember, I think Bleed was
exactly,
the only one in MYSG that did that.
Exactly.
I remember like it was so hard to really figure out like what exactly they were trying to do with that.
It did work for them.
I mean,
it did work for them.
Yeah, and then they swapped it out.
At the right time.
At the right time. Yeah.
I just remember when we versed them, it's just SkRossi just lining up a brimstone molly every single round. He's not even taking duels, and it won him like 5 rounds. It's like it's halfway across the map. Like it's so annoying to deal with.
But that's what I'm saying, right? That worked last year, and I feel like if they try to pull off something like that, or any team tries that this time around, I feel like it's gonna fall flat in their faces. So I just hope they stay true to their identity, and I think that's what makes it fun in these types of competition. If you bring these different types of personalities to the team, I feel like that's what's gonna make it entertaining. And I don't know if entertaining is at the top of their list. I guess winning is number one. But if you can do both, I think they'll make a name for themselves like that much faster, and that will help them.
Of course. The person saying it is the guy who does the things that Paper X. He
Dude,
can do the winning and the entertainment at the same time.
Because look, I have a theory, right? there is an ideal way to play Valorant, which is not to care about fundamentals, but just knowing what to do every time. And if you have 5 players who are connected like that, and there's a decision that you know is the right decision, and you don't have to wait for an IGL or for someone to tell you to do that thing, and you just do it at that instant, that's like the proper way to play, like the ideal way to play Valorant.
So basically chemistry.
Chemistry, yes. Chemistry is like, dude, it's so underrated still sometimes to these days.
Yeah.
Like you see a lot of teams swapping players like every 2 months. Like what's up with that?
Yeah.
I know it can work sometimes. You might hit a jackpot and get the right player to fit the puzzle, but I feel like teams are not willing to spend enough time and resources to figure out the puzzle. They just want to continue. Yeah, they want to continue buying gacha puzzles, and hopefully one of them will fit.
Well, the way that I think about it is, I feel like there needs to be a balance between the players that play aggressive and really take that initiative, because you don't want to like shackle your duelist or your secondary duelist. If you're like putting that in their mindset, oh, you have to play fundamental, you have to play exactly like this, they're gonna second guess every single movement they do, and that's when they're gonna like hesitate and lose that time, and that might have won the round. So I think it's good to like really give your duelist players especially, but everyone, let them know that it's okay to make mistakes. Like especially in scrims, let them make those mistakes over and over and over. Learn what works, learn what doesn't, and then you can, like, what I like to have in my teams is maybe 1 or 2 players that are like a bit more passive and like to play the win con. They don't hunt the frags. They don't do these over aggressive plays. They don't take the risks. They're there to, like, if the play doesn't work, they can secure the round. They can play the win con, you know? And I feel like that's the balance that a lot of these teams, like, that people are figuring it out. Like, I feel like Gen G especially, like, you look at Texture, this dude's on Icebox every single game. This dude's just running up belt with an AWP, gets a kill, goes back, and everyone else is just backing him up, playing safe. They're not over fighting, they're not pushing mid, they're not fighting B, they're just letting this dude run around with an AWP. And if he dies, they're in a position to still secure the round. They're still in a favorable spot.
So
like
the one thing that I usually say is, Sleevy spoke about microaggressions, right? So when Universe and I were playing Premier, of course, not the same level of competition. But
hey, don't discredit it. Come on.
I mean, we made it a contender. Just
there you go.
Yeah. So, and then we never really played a match because they were only on Saturdays, and we all want to step out on Saturdays.
Of course.
So the bottom line is, to me, the way I view it is micro sectors, right? You're trying to take an area, you're trying to take control of an area, but the idea that you mentioned, Sleepy, that everybody needs to be on the same page, right? Of course, you can go out there and aggress, you can go out there and make plays that you want, but just let them know what the baseline is. So the baseline that we discussed was microsectors, take control of microsectors and figure out and be on the same page about that. And after that, you can choose whatever you want to do with that, right? So to me, fundamentally, as boring as it looks, if there's a team that locks this in place, I think it's very easy for them to climb at least up to this level, right? And beyond this is when it gets a little more tricky. But to me, it's all about microsectors. You divide. Imagine you're taking A, divide it into smaller spots, and then figure your way out. And that helps you with comms a lot as well, because then you know what sort of temperament does your team have. Are they an aggressive team, or do they like to play a little more passive? And that's where you start eliminating what you don't want to do. More than knowing what you want to do, it's also just as important to know what you don't want to do.
Yeah. While I was expecting, and I'm pretty sure Mamba was as well, for True Rippers to finally reach their glory, who, by the way, were on top of things. They came second in every single split. They played 2 cups. They came second everywhere.
It feels like they're cursed at this point.
They were extremely dominant. They were really good in the group stages. But in that final split too, where it all mattered, it just kind of fell apart. And Revenant, just took on the glory because everybody was looking at them. And Mama, you also noticed they thought, you know what, this is a very individual team. They don't know how to play like a team as much. There are some days where they're absolutely dominant and other days where they look like, they just played Valorant for the second time in their lives. So that's kind of the range they were at. What do you think about Revenant going into this?
I'd say just give them time, man. I mean, I know they've been around for a while now, but the thing I like about Revenant, right, the most is the sort of lineup they have. One of the players could have an off day, but everybody else will be able to pick up the slack. That's number one. Number two, you look at the number of maps they played in Split 2. They played 16 maps, and they lost 3. They won 13. They are in red hot form. This is the best performance that you could ask for, especially this year. I mean, Orangutan were dominant last year, but then who was really competing with Orangutan, right? Maybe there was one other team, but that's about it, right? This time around, the competition was a lot higher, and then to see somebody be so good, right? I think that's phenomenal. And to me personally, I think this is the best representative we could have sent from India. because I am not worried about somebody having an off day. I think if they can just get their mental right, number one. Number two, be calm even when things are falling apart, because I absolutely believe if they can work as a unit, they will go much farther than what people might usually expect of them. So I think they absolutely have the potential to go deep. Win it, I'm not quite sure, but obviously surprise us with some of the performances.
You did play against Orangutan last year, what? And is there something in particular that you see South Asian teams doing that, is a problematic thing that they could improve upon? Because they've not had the best of international stints across the last 3 years itself. Revenant is hoping to break that this time around with a lot of pressure on their shoulder. What do you think has been South Asia's problem that you faced off and you're like, okay, why are they doing this kind of thing?
In my experience, whenever we verse them, I feel they don't seem to like adapt that much. They really stay in what they're comfortable with, and if they face something that they're unfamiliar with or something that's not working, I find they don't really find the answer, and they sometimes just lose out. And that's kind of from my experience. Like when we played them last year, we had like I think we won like the pistol and the bonus or something, and then we just rolled the entire map because they just could never get back into it, and then it happened again on the next map. And like yeah, there were 04, and I think just every time they I don't know if it's just because they do play against their own region a lot, because they do have that higher ping. Like they can, I think if they play SG, it's like 70 ping or 90 ping some places, depending on where they are. So it is difficult. I'm not sure what they get to HK, but I'm assuming it's probably it's even worse. So they're pretty stuck in just scrimming like on high ping or their own region. So it's like they don't get that top tier experience in scrims, which is a big factor. So maybe it's just taking them a little bit to like figure out how to play against the international, because they just don't have that exposure. So going into it, I'm kind of hoping that SkRossi is kind of bringing them those answers. He's played at VCT, right? He's played many international events. I'm hoping that he's like mentoring them and what to expect and how to like deal with the pressure and how to deal with like when things are going wrong, not just when they're going right, because things will go wrong. Like you need to prepare for that.
I just want to add one thing to that, right? So one problem that I've noticed as somebody who's a spectator, not inside the server, is when things are going out. Of course, it's great. I absolutely agree by the word that they don't adapt that quick. The problem is when things start falling apart. Players usually, most of the time, end up taking a lot more individual approach. That hey, I'm going to try and work a pick. I'm going to try and work a pick here, and then that's where it starts snowballing downhill.
Sleepy, you also have watched, I think you've been around a little bit of the South Asian scene for a bit. You of course were involved with VLT as well at some point. And we spoke about this the last time as well when you and I had a conversation. The problems that were developing around the South Asian teams. And now they are in great form. They've got SkRossi, they've got two great Kazakh imports, and on top of that, they've got an extremely flexible player in Paradox and a little bit of a brand new IGL skills. What do you have to say about these players? You've played against them. You've played, around. You've been in that region. What do you think?
Yeah, so I'm happy you mentioned the two additions, because that's one of my highlights for this team, to be honest. Because if you look at it, DOS9 actually joined as early as this year's January, I think, right? So from the start of the year, he started like figuring out what's happening around the region, but didn't really perform up to his standard. But then his teammate, or I guess his fellow countryman, joined, and I feel like that plays a big factor, especially in a region where you're new to the region, you're alone in the region, and it might actually affect him individually. But having this fellow countryman join him, I feel like that kind of boosted the whole performance of not just the team, but also DOS9 as an individual. And then Sultan himself is actually performing outrageously in the server, right? So I feel like these two players are actually the key to Revenant, to be honest. And I'm actually looking forward to seeing them play here in Jakarta. Having said that, I'm really happy that SkRossi is back. He's not quite there at VCT level, but he's as in Pacific level, but he's back at the top of this tier. And as you said, right, and as everybody said here, SkRossi with his experiences, it's really underplayed sometimes. Like just simply sharing his experiences actually helps a lot in terms of perspective, and I feel like that's what a region like SA is actually lacking in, which is perspective and experience from outside, right? Just like what said, scrimming is already a problem, right? So meeting all these other teams that are at the top of their level is already a problem. So with SkRossi coming back, sharing his experiences, boosted by these two Kazakhstanis, and I see a familiar name, Skills, who have been around as well. I'm not sure if he's playing in these games. If he is, then I
Yeah,
feel
he
like that's
is.
also a factor because he
He's
might
the
not.
IGL. He's the IGL.
He's the
now.
IGL, exactly.
Yeah.
So, as the IGL curse, whether you believe that it's true or not, he is not performing in terms of frags that well. But this is what matters, right? When you got star players like SkRossi and Paradox now, as well as the two Kazakhstanis, you just need to help direct and help show them the way, I guess. And I feel like this is a pretty good formula, and I just hope they can keep it up because, again, all these other factors outside of the game is what's gonna matter more. I feel.
Oh yeah.
When you get here.
I mean, when you talk about factors outside the game as well, you have to worry about, I think South Asian players have the biggest stress when it comes to dealing with their fans. They can be the biggest lovers and the biggest haters at the same time. And I feel like it's so underplayed how much that pressure can really like rely on their shoulders, because even before they play, the people watching are already like, oh, they're not gonna win, and I'm just like very appalled because
I'll give you an instance about this. It just yesterday, so apparently SkRossi's Valorant account was hacked.
Yeah,
I saw that. What
yeah, so his account was hacked, and then some girl from China apparently got the password and the username for it and returned it back to him. So there was one fan.
Wow.
There was one fan. This is the same. I think between 5 tweets. Yeah, one guy put out an Instagram story and then put a screenshot of that on Twitter saying, this girl did this. Oh my god, imagine if a movie was made on this instance. SkRossi would be global. And then 3 or 4 tweets later, there's a tweet that says, oh my god, how fake can SkRossi be? Stop yapping, bro.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
so that's what I said about these things, and I feel really bad for these players because they know what they need to do as players, and they just need time to grow. There's a lot of obstacles that South Asian players face in terms of growth already in itself, with the ping and everything else like that, and being able to scrim. And we're not seeing this empathy, and I feel like, I mean, yeah, every single team has some toxic fans, a lot of toxic fans. In fact, I mean, we can see what happens to Paper X.
Present.
I see it. I see it. so it's like, I really feel for him because, like you said, SkRossi playing in the highest tier is, a journey. Is how he needs to grow and learn to get better. But it felt like the fans are not being supportive of that journey and are not eager. They're there for the highs, but they're not there for the lows, and that's just very unfortunate to me. And I really hope that the players are mentally prepared to be dealing with that as they go throughout Ascension, especially SkRossi, given how big he is in South Asia.
So I think, I just want to add one thing, right? The one player that I would probably like watch for a lot more, who puts in a lot of silent work for the team, is Paradox. I've seen him play for different teams. Phenomenal player, can fill up holes in the team. If you need him to flex a little bit, he can.
1 second. He's going to watch this video. Paradox, do not boost your ego because of this. Focus on your work. Continue.
But I absolutely believe that he, along with Rossi, Rossi has established himself, right? We've been having a conversation about Rossi for like years at this point. But Paradox is one of those players who I've always enjoyed watching personally. But apart from that, for this specific team, right, with skills is experience, Rossi's experience, DOS9 and Sultan performing the way they are, I think Paradox will be that X factor when things are going south. He is that player who can bring them back up. So I personally would look out for him a lot more, and would also let the viewers, especially the South Asian viewers, that this is one player that you absolutely should look out for.
Let's run down with the final 3 teams because I feel like we've already spent a lot of time.
We did.
Let's move on. We've got 3 last teams left. One of them is an anomaly. Let's start with them itself. Rapid Lofi, who came in from Vietnam, who beat out Fancy to come here, which I don't think anybody saw, especially after how dominant Fancy have been for the last 2 years in their region. Any thoughts? I have not watched them play as much. I did see a couple of their highlights of the final map against in the grand final, but Anybody who's got any thoughts on Rapid Lofi?
I think for Rapid Lo-Fi, I think for Fancy United, they've been undefeated for so many years now. I think for every single year, Vietnam, we're expecting Fancy United come up on top. But this time around, I mean, one of the ex-players for Fancy United has joined Rapid Lo-Fi, which is Suka. And Suka is a player that I think from the last time I watched him play all the way till now, consistent. One of the best from Vietnam, one of the best that Vietnam has to offer. And I think that coming, I wouldn't call him an X factor per se, but I think his experience in competing definitely did help the team make it to the top. And that's why the reason why they're able to overcome Fancy United Esports.
I was just going through VLR right now. I noticed an interesting stat, right? Apart from the grand finals, in the last 13 matches that they played, the only 3 losses they had was against Fancy. Apart from that, they've been pretty dominant.
So that's a bit of a story build up there. I like that. But it's kind of an, it kind of feels like an OC kind of situation where everybody expect, okay, it's going to be either, if it was not going to be JJS, it was going to be AIC, but then JFT came out of nowhere. And Rapid Lo-Fi also didn't really do as well. There was, I believe, another team that was being looked upon in their region. And if I have a quick look at it, I believe it was Team Flash. Yeah, it was Team Flash. Yeah, so they were expecting one of these 2 teams itself. Fancy, of course, was the clear run favorite. But, they kind of became the JFT of Vietnam. So it's kind of unexpected. And we'll just take a step forward. We'll go to the next team. We'll come down to the, the placements as we go on. NAOS, again, a team. We saw them last year. I think they had the most hard-hitting loss because they were the team that I felt like had a lot of potential last year. They've got the same players again who are really, really, they're very nice. They're very good players. You got Mojo, you got Papi Chulo, you got Ja. They're very good. They've got Emin now as well. What do we think about them, Sleepy? You know a bunch about these players. Talk us through them.
Yeah, I think Emin is a key player here.
Real.
And I see him being assigned the IGL here, which I think might be an interesting move because I feel like he is a consistent performer in the server. He didn't get that much screen time last year, to be honest, in RQ.
Yeah, and I felt really sad about that
I felt bad about that because every time he is on this, every time he is in the server, I feel like he performed quite well. And so, these other players, they've been around since forever too, right? So they kind of feel like I guess there are more players in Philippines, so I can't really say this, but they might feel like the boom of Philippines. The players themselves have been pretty dominant. And we've seen them again and again and again. And there's that fun story about Nexi, I think, playing on a laptop at VCT. Baller move. And now he's here, right? So they're going to try and take a stab at that trophy. And I feel like the Filipinos, they've always been a consistent performer. So I just feel like they're kind of that team that is not expected to win, but we know for sure is going to perform well. So I'd say we got to keep a lookout for them, and maybe who knows?
I feel like at the moment they're kind of middle of the pack. I've
exactly.
not seen the best of them, but have not seen the worst of them.
That's what I'm trying to say, right? They're gonna be in the middle of the pack, but you never know when they're gonna have their pop-up day.
I think overall, NAOS do have potential to be in that top 4. I feel like they can take that step. It's just about having that one little moment of momentum break. I think they need to they've got a boundary that they're not able to get past. Hopefully we see it. But speaking of somebody who has broken their boundary is, of course, I think our top favorites alongside SPG, Full Sense. They're out in front. A lot of people are saying that they might just be doing it this time around.
I mean, Full Sense have always been a strong contender. Like, they've always been around as well. But this time I think I want to highlight Leviathan or Leviathan. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's a clutcher. And I think he could be one of the key factors, like what we talked about now is, they're middle of the pack. They just need a moment of brilliance for their players. I feel like it's the same case here. And I'm not sure how I can back this up, but I just feel like the players on the Full Sense roster have more clutch factors. And I feel like this is what teams need at a competition level at Ascension, for example. Just having those clutch moments, those breaking the barrier moments. I feel like Full Sense is one of those teams that can actually
Are
break
you
through.
okay? I know you have a bit of a connection. What I'm just gonna pause for 1 second, but Sleepy's got a little bit of a connection, of
Yeah.
course, with CGRS, who played
Oh
in
man.
MITH.
Ah! Dude,
Uh,
here's the thing about Thailand Ascension qualifier, right? They had 2 finals.
Yeah,
I was
Which
very confused
MITH
about that format actually.
Exactly, right? So MITH won
Won
the first one, and I
one,
was like,
yeah.
wait, CGRS is coming to. I guess that time we still thought he was gonna go to Japan.
I was shocked when that happened, and
Yes.
apparently that was the one that didn't matter.
It didn't matter. So they lost, and obviously I was super sad and bummed about it because it would have been fun to have CGRS
Yeah,
around here.
Pikla.
Yes, Pikla. But hey, well deserved by Full Sense. They beat them fair and square.
Yeah.
And actually they beat them pretty hard. It was a
Yeah.
3-1 finals, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, Full Sense. That kind of team, you know, there will be moments of brilliance from the players. That I can say that for sure.
What you were saying?
I think bringing it back to like how the individual players are able to really like bring it to the server and bring those clutch moments. I think that's going to be a big turning factor, especially on the like on LAN. Because
Yeah,
I remember when we were versing D+, I remember RDW got like some like 3 insane clutches that pretty much brought us back into the game. We were down. I can't remember what it was, but it was quite. We're probably going to lose that map, and he just won like these 2 or 3 really important clutches, brings it back, and then we just had the momentum. We swung it into the next map, and we won the series. But having those players really can make the difference, you know. And
Yeah.
it does seem like Full Sense is one of those rosters where it is pretty spread out evenly. Like I don't think there's anyone that's really going to underperform. Anyone can really pop off. It's definitely another one of those middle of the pack, kind of similar to NAOS sort of teams where don't think they'll get washed by anyone, but can definitely put up some numbers.
Yeah, it's
Right.
up to the individuals, right? And it
Exactly.
doesn't have to be big clutches. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be the 1v4s, 1v5s,
Just
1v3s.
enough to get you hyped.
Just winning the 1v1s and
Yep.
making
Yeah.
sure that you stay ahead just enough, I think is already a pretty good solid help to the
Basically,
team.
you don't have to be as scary to.
Yeah.
win.
So
Yeah.
just and these like you said, Tash, like there used to be a time where in Indo, every time we face a Thai player in a server and matchmaking her, oh shit, we're in for a sweaty ass game, man. It's
Wasn't it
versus
like
Thai.
Paper Rex against Scary, where
Yeah,
Paper Rex was just running away?
dude,
from
right? It's
Scary.
scary. It's scary.
I remember that
we
video.
show them respect. We still do. So
Fair. All
we're
right.
gonna look forward to that.
Let's move on to the final 2 segments. We have spoken about all the teams, what they can do, but let's start off with a couple of dark horses. Who do you guys think have the potential to make some upsets here?
GFT.
Yeah, I think JFT.
GFT, that's one for
GFT, yeah.
sure. I think Disguised might also be one of those dark horses.
I don't think they're a dark horse. I think there's a lot of
Really?
expectation on them already. I think because I come from the
Hmm.
region and I know what they're able to do, and I
Sure.
know they can shoot hits. I know they can play. It's just hoping that they don't choke. That's the only
Okay.
thing that I'm really worried about right now, because unfortunately, like Bleed, DSG has shown us moments where they might be choking, and I'm just really hoping that they've really solved that.
Yeah.
Mamba, dark horse for you.
JRT for sure. I almost said Revenant, but then I was like, you know what? Let me hold on to that thought. Let me sort of organize this. Look, I don't know why. I just have this hunch. I might be absolutely wrong. It's a hunch. I know what the general perception is with South Asian teams. But I would say Revenant still.
I think Revenant is a very momentum heavy team. They start off great. They will just snowball. So that could possibly be one of the factors that I kind of like I can agree with you about Revenant.
So I just want to make it clear, when I say upset, I don't mean like they're not capable of winning, but the amount of people doubting them, I think they will prove them wrong.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about potentials. Yeah. Let's talk. Give me 4 teams that you think are gonna be in the top 4.
You're gonna have this on record.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be jinxing the top 4.
Yes,
You gotta be careful here, Tash.
We start with the
Anything but whatever Tash says.
We start with the Jinx Queen. Come on, Tash, give me your top 4.
My top 4.
Yeah, your top 4.
Okay,
Top
for
4, top
me
4.
personally, my top 4, I'm giving it to Full Sense SPG. I think I've hyped this up way too much, and it'll be kind of hypocritical for me not to mention them. Dropping in a Boom Esports as well as this is hard. I cannot pick between Riddle Order and DSG. I'll give it to Boom Esports just because boom, 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 boom.
Okay.
I want you in my room. Listen, I need to hold up the sign again. I'm sorry,
Yes.
it's just the truth.
If you
What?
lose, it's on.
Who's your top 4?
I think my top 4 would definitely be Boom. That's definitely in there.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the bracket, I think JFT might actually make a run to the top 4 through the upper bracket.
All right.
I think
okay.
Upper bracket.
just
Interesting.
because looking at the lower bracket,
Mhm.
I feel like it's gonna favor them a lot. I feel like they're gonna beat Rapid Lo-Fi,
Yeah.
Mm.
and then probably gonna verse DSG or Full Sense, which I think was just gonna be an absolute slugfest. Like that team, whoever they verse is just it's gonna be a brawl. Like that can be anyone's game, and then they're probably gonna drop down, and I think they could maybe win one more. And I think a top 4 for JFT is very, very possible. So I'm gonna put them there, and it's a little bit biased, but I'll still say it. And then I think SPG
Okay.
and I'd say Riddle. I don't even know if it's possible to put all these teams in the top 4 because it's so stacked in like there's SPG, Boom,
I
NAOS, and
know,
Riddle
It's
right?
in
all in the
one
top. So
bracket.
I don't
Riddle
even know
Warrior
if
looks
that
so
top,
good as well.
yeah, like I
That's
don't even know if
hard.
it's possible for those teams to even all of them to get to the top 4 just of the way the bracket
We're gonna
is.
be
But
seeing a champions run again, and everyone's just gonna be like, my pickups, guys.
Mamba, your top 4.
Boom, DSG, now Full Sense.
All right. Okay.
No
Damn.
Revenant.
Nah. Okay. No. Wait.
Look,
wait.
man, as optimistic as I am, I think top 4 might be difficult.
One second. He said. Boom.
It's possible,
Once again, you
but-
said Boom, NAOS,
I said Boom, DSG.
Boom,
NAOS,
DSG, NAOS,
Full
and
Sense.
Full Sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So 2 of these teams, unfortunately, will have to go in the lower bracket instantly. By the way, and SPG is not that. Okay.
Look, I'm okay with getting one of them wrong, but these are my favorites for
All
sure.
right. Okay. I like it.
What's
Sleepy.
yours?
Wait, we gotta finish.
Oh
with
yeah, I
Sleepy.
forgot about Sleepy. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, I see how it is, Tash. I see how it is. I'm gonna get in trouble if I don't say Boom. But I also believe Boom is gonna be there. So it's gonna be
Contractually obligated,
Boom.
or
Yeah, it's gonna be Boom.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go with JFT just because I like the surprise factor from
Okay.
OCE. I'll go with Revenant. I am
Ooh.
very excited for the Kazakhstanis.
There we go.
that's spicy.
Happy for
Mamba,
SkRossi
straight
as
up.
well. So it's okay, Mamba. I'll take it from here. I'll carry that flag with me.
Sending the Aadhaar card to you right now.
Thank you. And I'll go with Full Sense.
Right.
I've always believed in the thighs. Even though they beat my buddy CGRS, it's
Mhm.
fine. Yeah. So Full Sense, GFT Boom, and Revenant.
All right, I like that. That's actually pretty nice.
wait, I want to hear universes. So if say
Yeah,
I know
please.
Jinx and he's wrong, I can go to his stream and be like,
Here we go.
universe, you're the
You
king.
made us do
It wasn't
this.
me.
Okay, I'm gonna go Revenant, SPG, Boom, and no, actually that's not gonna be possible. That's not gonna be possible. Okay, Revenant, SPG, Full Sense, and JFT. All right, let's go with that. I'm gonna go
Ooh.
completely out of the board. Let's go.
See, Mamba didn't believe, but universe.
Sorry, can you
believed.
say that again, Universe? So it was
Yeah.
Revenant.
Let me.
No. Hold on. Revenant,
Yes.
SPG,
Yes.
Full Sense,
Uh-huh.
JFT.
Okay.
Boom for a very close vote. But
All right.
we'll keep Boom there. They're right there. Okay. They're like
Okay. Fair.
I feel like Sleepy's not gonna come to any more of my videos. Okay.
Universe, have you had your medicines today?
What?
You talk very fast. Even I didn't hear it. What?
I heard it. Have you taken your medicine today?
What
Oh!
medicines?
That's okay. You don't have to worry about it.
Okay, interesting.
All
All
right.
right, finally, who do you think is going to win Ascension? Who's going to be the next VCD Pacific team? It would be really funny if you guys didn't tell somebody from your top 4,
No, it's gonna be it's gonna be Boom for me.
Boom.
Yeah.
All right. What? I think you pretty much agree with that. Yeah. Tash?
Yep, Boom.
This is so hard.
Just
I would
choose a
choose-
team.
I can't.
Just do it. Quick.
I have 3.
Give me one.
Fuck.
Give me one.
I want to say boom, social media press could be, oh, Tashbunny jinxed it.
No, it's okay.
Go
If
on.
they get jinxed, then it's on them. So
Yeah.
just say it.
Just say it.
Ah,
Close your eyes
goddamn.
and go for it.
Okay, as much as every single player I know has been like, oh my god, we scrimmed against SPG and SPG beat our ass. Scrim Bucks means nothing to me.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Only tournament in Bucks do. And Boom Esports is gonna win because the whole arena is gonna shake, and as soon as someone flanks, everyone's gonna yell, and Boom Esports is like, "Oh,
Yep.
someone's flanking!"
Sixth player.
Yeah, the
You're right.
sixth player, guys. So I'm sorry, it's
All
gonna be
right,
Boom.
boom. Okay, Mamba,
Same man, boom.
boom. All right.
Wait, can I
No,
change?
not a
Make full
question.
sense?
Your call. You can change it if you want to.
Shit, I can't choose. Can I choose two?
Nope.
Make it... No,
Okay.
listen.
Tash, the jinx is done. You've done it already.
It's already on record,
Yeah,
Tash.
Boom's
Sorry.
gone. Boom's gone.
That ship,
Sorry.
that ship has
Yes,
sailed.
You see,
Listen,
you see,
every
guys,
one of us said Boom. Every
this
single
is
one
why,
of us.
guys. This is why I have Tash here, because if she says something, I'm gonna say the exact opposite.
But everyone else said no!
Good luck to us.
Alright, I'm
luck
gonna
to
call
us.
out the winner is going to be Full Sense or SPG in my opinion. I think the Koreans or the Thais.
Choose
got it.
one.
All right,
Yeah,
I'm
choose
gonna,
one.
I'm gonna go with SPG. You know what? The Koreans got another team up there. I think they're gonna take it. Okay, that's about it. I think we've had a lot of jinxing and a lot of conversation for today. But thank you so much, all of you guys. Thank you so much for
course.
being here. This has been an amazing video, and hopefully the people love it. It's a pretty long one, so I'm gonna just kind of chop it up a little. And yeah, thank you so much.
We're
guys.
all yappers!
Don't tell us you forgot to press record, Universe.
That
You
would
did,
I will
be
right?
that
cry.
would be really funny, but no, I didn't. I've been checking it. I actually, I'm not joking. I checked it around 10 times. Is it still recording? Is it still recording?